This is what passes for entertainment in America. So Americans believe this stuff because it's really what they have access to, the only thing they have access to. An exhaustive joint study conducted in 2007 by the Center for American Progress and Free Press titled "The Structural Imbalance of Political Talk Radio" shows some shocking figures. The analysis of the political talk programming on the 257 news talk stations owned by the 5 largest commercial station owners reveals this. 91% of political talk radio programming on stations owned by the top 5 commercial station owners is conservative. Only 9% is progressive. Here are the numbers on the hours. 2,570 hours and 15 minutes of conservative talk are broadcast each weekday on these stations compared to just 254 hours of progressive talk. Now, 92% of these stations, do not broadcast a single minute of liberal talk radio programming. There is no such thing as balance on political talk radio in this country. Conservatives own it, they program it, they syndicate it. Major radio companies like Salem, Bonneville Broadcasting, and Citadel have never had 1 minute of progressive talk syndicated on their stations, ever. 98% of Americans consume some type of audio every single day. Conservatives have used this practical monopoly to push their agenda for years. Now, in Washington, D.C., here's a perfect example. Washington, D.C., 93% of the folks there, registered voters, they are Democrats. Now, there were 2 talk stations that broadcast conservative talk. When CBS decided to flip one of their stations to a talk at 50,000-watt AM signal, calling it the Big Talker, this was back on November 10th, 2008, the program director refused to consider progressive talk, saying that they're just going to take the station hard right. So in an overwhelmingly liberal city, with the Democratic votership at 93%, they decided that it was a good business decision to saturate the airwaves with more right-wing talk, even though they have, superstar Glenn Beck on the air. Defy this, Glenn. You have 0 ratings in Washington, D.C. Zilch. Nil. Nada. 0. Now, the second-tier radio talk station, WTNT, is ranked 30th in the market with a 0.4 share. Now, this kind of imbalance goes unchallenged. We're supposed to believe that this is the free market. I think it's ownership. And I think it's time for Congress to get involved. It's time for the fairness doctrine to be reviewed by the Congress and then implemented. The airwaves are public. It's not in the public's interest to have 92% of right-wingers out there filling the airwaves that is just so anti anything the liberals want to do. Tell me where the fairness is. Don't tell me it's the free market. I gave you an example of the Baxter and what he's doing in Washington, D.C., but they decide to put that garbage on the air anyway. It's not about business. It's about an ideology, and it's about getting Obama big time. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's text survey is, do you think Congress should take action to balance political talk radio? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. We'll bring you the results later on in the show.